the Real Madrid Man City game. Now, let's go into your. I got to watch. I got home early than you, so I got to watch the second half. You never. Do you want to let us know what? I saw. Was it Ian again who wrote in the Echo, wasn't he, about what?
I wasn't on their flight, so they were separate. They were going back via Valencia. I was going back via Barcelona, so I got a train up in the afternoon from Valencia to Barcelona. My flight was 8:45 local time.
Just on kick-off pretty much then, isn't it?
Just on kick-off. And it took off about 20 minutes late, so I think it was like 3 or 4 minutes into the game when your airplane mode goes on. And to be honest, I didn't sort of spend the flight thinking about it, which was quite nice. You know, it wasn't sort of thinking, oh God, what's one am I going to wake up to? Because I thought City would go through. I sort of made peace with that, if you know what I mean. I sort of decided, well, what's the point in fretting about it? You know it's going to happen. And then we come in to land, and we sort of must have been Runcorn ways, you'd imagine, coming in that way. And the phone sort of just lit up, and I was like, oh. And it was like a BBC notification saying, well, sorry, I couldn't see what it said, but I could see it was a BBC notification. I was like, oh, probably City, City qualified to set up a final or whatever. But then a WhatsApp one come up, and I'm in a group with a few people, Simon Hughes and David Lynch and a few others, and it just said, I think it was David Lynch had said, this final is going to be horrible. And then the very next message was, or maybe not. And then I had another group that I'm in where one of the lads' dad's a City fan. And it said, someone had said, has anyone checked on Les in the group? And I was like, so you're sort of trying to work out. So I was like trying to, it wasn't all, the signal wasn't coming back type of thing. It was just bits and bits. So I was like, something's happened. There's a lad sat next to me I've never didn't speak to the whole flight. And then I said to him, I think something mad's happened with City, And he's like, what? So he's on his phone like that. And then I was trying to get live score up. And then in the end, I managed to put on, just someone tell me what has happened. And it was Simon Hughes who delivered the news saying it's 3-1 to Real Madrid. There's 3 minutes of stoppage time, in extra time to go. They scored 2 goals in stoppage time. I sort of said to the lad, I said, Real Madrid are winning 3-1. And I was like, Real Madrid are winning 3-1. Then I was like, Real Madrid are winning 3-1. And we went down the thing. And it was like, we landed. And the captain said, there'll be just a couple of minutes. You've got another plane coming in at the same time. We need to wait for them, just to this and that. I remember that, like, a couple of Liverpool fans saying, I will stay here all night if that's what it takes. It's like, there was no sort of, usually you get the sort of, another 5 minutes on the plane. It was like not another that. And then obviously there was, you had to get the passport queue, and the passport queue, like, you're obviously snaking around in that thing, and you just catch an eye with the same lad maybe 3 or 4 times. He's like, that's good, isn't it? It's good. So Phil Reed saw him. He was on my flight. Christian Walsh was on my flight. So just a lot of smiling Scousers. It was, it was probably, I think it was probably the best way to do it.
No nerves.
No, you didn't have the sort of the 89 minutes of panic or anger or whatever. It was just, you got all the joy. You only had 3 minutes to enjoy. Where I was thinking, oh please. And that's funny enough, the lad next to me, he said to me, I think it's 3-2. And he showed me his thing, and it was basically they were debating how many minutes of stoppage time it was going to be, and he said 2 or 3. Or there'll only be 2 to 3, and he went, oh, it's 3-2, and he's like, oh no, sorry, it's not. No. But yeah, it was unexpected. Very unexpected. I mean, funny enough, on Monday I travelled out from Liverpool to Madrid. That's where I flew to. And our Manchester City correspondent, Johnny Smith, was there with another lad from the Mail, Jack Gorn. And they were obviously going over for the City game. And I said, as I was leaving them, I was like, I'm going to get the train now. I said, I'll see you on Thursday. I said, we'll talk about Paris. And he said, I'm not counting me chickens. And you sort of think, just the general negativity of a City fan, but he was right. He was right to be concerned. Yeah.
It's strange though, mate, that like we're celebrating that it's Real Madrid. It's Real Madrid. You know what I mean? Like, it's because
I think it's important. I think it's important to sort of to do that, because there'll be people who will try and use that. And we've seen talks about. There was another one of the same talks about pundits, which I hate to give them too much, but he was going on about the disrespect that Liverpool are showing to City fans, which is absurd. But it's not. It isn't. They're not celebrating that it's an easy game. They're celebrating the occasion. So the point is, one, it's going to be far easier to get there. So you're not losing all the, it's not everyone descending from the northwest of England to Paris. The whole weekend is just a lot easier because it's not sort of that undercurrent of, I mean, I'm not saying that there would be trouble, but there's just that undercurrent of, it's all people from the same country mingling, and I think also, let's have it right. You want to be playing European teams in Europe. You don't want to be, you don't want to be. I mean, Tottenham was fine. I think Tottenham benefited from the fact that was so unusual for them that they didn't really sort of treat it as like a Premier League game. It was an adventure for them. But you don't want to be playing European finals against English teams. You don't want to be playing European semi-finals against English teams. You want to be playing European teams, and they don't come bigger than Real Madrid. There's a little bit of the revenge element of Kiev. There's obviously a lot of history there between the two clubs. There's a bit of Ancelotti, obviously. So it just makes for a much better occasion. Not a tough one to get to in that sense. A lot easier now.
You say that, mate. We've been costing it today. Might have to swim. Might have to get back with my waders out.
I booked it before. I booked after the first leg last week, and I didn't want to tell anyone I'd done that. You think...
worst case is you could have sold it.
I'd have been up on offer, obviously, if Villarreal had continued on Tuesday. But so I've got my plan in place. But yeah, you're right. It's not cheap, and it's not necessarily easy. But it's just it just makes for a far better occasion. And also what it does, and I shouldn't say this again, but it sort of takes the pressure off the Premier League a little bit now, because you were thinking, really, I mean, Liverpool want to win the Premier League. I think they've still got a good chance, personally. But if they don't, they've still got that safety net. Whereas if you don't win the Premier League and you've got them in the final, you're thinking, oh God, they're going to take everything off us at the end of this season. Everything that we've done this season could end in tears. Now it's just like, well, go and enjoy it. Not a free hit, but a real chance to sort of celebrate a great season.
Absolutely. I'd mentioned this one. It was on the agenda, but I'll bring them both up in account. Says, what does Neil make of Mo's unfiltered interview after the Villarreal game? So he basically, I don't know if you've seen it, he basically says to BT,
I want Real Madrid.
I want Real Madrid, and he's very open about it. And then he's also saying, he's got his targets.
Yeah,
he's got his
40
and 15 goals. And stuff like that. But let's talk. It's very odd for a player. Usually a player go, we'll play who we play. It is what it is. But and then subsequently his Instagram post we've got a score to settle. Like, it looked like this had been eaten away at him ever since 18.
It does, and I mean, to be honest, it's funny because it's not, the protagonist isn't there anymore. The guys who hate Liverpool that day aren't there. Gareth Bale, obviously,
kind of is.
Loris Karius, isn't there?
Is Bale still there?
Bale is still there, but he won't.
Maybe
they'll wheel him out for the final. But Ronaldo's not there anymore. Obviously, Sergio, the main guy. I mean, although maybe he might knock on with the trophy. He must live in Paris, I imagine, at the moment. So yeah, maybe knock on Sergio's house if Liverpool win it. But I think it's great. I saw a few people. A couple of friends of mine were saying, I wish he'd shut up, But why,
It's weird, because especially in your profession, because we all get fed up with stock answers, and then you can't get criticise a fella for not doing the stock answer.
And also, there's a real thread that you pull out with Mo Salah. I mean, if you remember last year, I think he said, when Liverpool were really sort of struggling, he said, look, we are going to get top 4. That is my promise to you. And I think I remember his agents. I know we all talk about his agent's tweets, and they're not always helpful. But he sort of said I would believe him at the time. And then I think they repackaged it when they had qualified, saying, don't forget to listen to Mo when he talks. So, yeah, I quite like it. I quite like that Liverpool will have eyes on it. I think a lot of people, it was at the start of this team's journey, wasn't it, that game? And it didn't feel like it hurt. It probably hurt the players more than it hurt the fans, because I think the fans had a great time over in Kiev and sort of, felt like there was things coming. But obviously it hurt the players. Mo, more than anyone, obviously he was in the form of his life, 44 goals, having to go off.
Ruined his World Cup as well, doesn't it?
His World Cup, and it's sort of, he knows, doesn't he? He knows the next few weeks are going to be, how many times are you going to see that picture of him going off in tears? How many times are you going to see that footage of him hitting the deck and then not being able to carry on? There'll probably be some Spanish media will get hold of Sergio Ramos and start talking. I'm sure there'll be quotes whipped up from the Madrid side of the press about it and whatever else. So he knows what's coming, and I think it's quite good that he's ready to confront it rather than to shy away and to say, we'll do our talking after the game. I don't, to be honest, it's one of the modern cases of social media, I think, is this idea that, don't say anything because, what if you look stupid? It's like, well, you know, what do we do? Do we wait till the 29th of May every year and we just look at it and go, right, what was the league table? Okay, right, you can shout a little bit. You can't shout at all because you came 7th. You know, let people enjoy it while it's happening.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you make of Carlo Ancelotti as well, saying he's an Evertonian? Having left them to get relegated while he's now in the European Cup semi-final. But he's basically said it's a bit of a derby. And to be fair to Carlo, he's done well against Jurgen's teams, relatively speaking, as well. So that is another factor as well. But I thought that was quite amusing, like we've got an Evertonian.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know which ice it'll cut with the Everton fans.
I'm an Evertonian.
Given the way he left, how quickly he left, and what's happened since, you know. But another layer to that, isn't it? You know, and he's got Chelsea connections. He's got Milan, Istanbul sort of memory, hasn't he? There, and obviously he got a modicum of revenge with that with Athens, but there's loads to pull out with it. I literally just, I mean, every week I have a features call with our team just before I come in here, and we had one, and he was talking about the Champions League final, and it was just like, listen, that'll take care of itself. There's all sorts that we can go out with.
Free range,
Real Madrid. You know, we don't have to ring Alan Kennedy, which I'm sure a lot of people will be.
Yeah, we like
to. But there's plenty at it, and it's a weird one, Ancelotti. I listen to a lot of European football podcasts and things like that, and there's a real debate among them about, is he good or is he lucky, or, you know...
Just raises the eyebrow and things seem to happen. He's like The Rock.
Yeah.
Just puts his eyebrow up and shit goes, shit happens.
I think you have to look and say, once might be lucky, 2 might be very lucky, 3 and 4 times, you know.
Winning leagues in every country.
You know, come on, I think we probably have to accept that he's doing something right somewhere down the line.
Hey guys, that was a clip from this week's JNO Inside Show with Neil Jones. Neil's here every single week talking to us about the latest news, views, transfers and rumours surrounding Liverpool Football Club. If you want to watch that show and everything else we do, head on over to redmenplus.com and sign up now. I promise you won't regret it.